Hey crafters, crocheters, yarn enthusiasts. My name is Jenny. Welcome to Granny Square Peg. Today is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, and I have another blanket for you. So, I don't actually have a real nice clever name for this one. I was just calling it White with Stripes, because that's what it is. Alright, so my size measurements are 38 inches wide by 48 inches tall. Okay, it is made with double crochets and then front post double crochets that give us a little bit of a waffle texture. Just a simple waffle texture, because I only did one front post double crochet and alternated it. And these colors here are leftovers from another blanket, and then I paired them with white to give us that striping going on. So what do you say we take the blanket down and we'll go over all the details of how I made it, okay? Okay, so no clever name for this one, seriously. I'm just calling it White with Stripes. It is double crochets and then front post double crochets. I made it in August of 2015, so 38 inches wide by 48 inches tall. I used an F hook, and I used Herrschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn, which is 100% acrylic. Okay? And today I actually have the hook that I used. I used Boy. It is an F. This little rubber grommet helps my grip when I'm holding onto the hook. It's an old one. I think it came from my grandma's collection. Okay, so my notes say what do my notes say? I have a piece of paper actually attached to the blanket. My initial chain was 146 plus 1. Gotta scoot a little closer. My arms aren't long enough today. Alright, so if you guys have watched any of my other videos, you know that when I do the initial chain, the starting chain, I also do a row of single crochet before I start doing the pattern. I like doing a chain with a single crochet because it gives me a firmer foundation for when I go back to do a border. Okay, so it is 146 single crochets, and then I would have chained one and turned and did single crochets all the way across. And then that chain one at the beginning does not count as a stitch. I do not use that as a stitch when I come back. And then, so that's row 1 is a single crochet. So row 2 is double crochets. And it's just all plain old double crochets. I had chained 3, turned. So this chain 3 for the double crochets does act as my first double crochet. So then I do 145 more all the way to the other end, so then I have a total of 146. The next row is where the fun starts, right? I love doing front post double crochets. Even the back post, it's a little trickier, but I love doing the front post double crochet. So I chained 3. I did a double crochet in the first, double crochet from the previous row, and then I did a front post double crochet, then a regular double crochet, front post, regular, front post, and it gives you this texture that you can see here where the white is sitting on top of the blue. You see that texture that happens there? We call it a waffle stitch. Now a lot of people will do 2 double crochets and then 2 front posts, 2 doubles, 2 front posts, and you get a bigger waffle texture, but I wanted something simple this time around. I was in a phase where I was loving the waffle stitch, and I was trying all different combinations of it. And this, I like this one because I didn't have to do a lot of counting with it. So that's all I did. Just it is one row of double crochet. I come back and do a row that alternates between double crochet, front post, double crochet, front post. Okay. Now, do you guys know how to do the front post double crochet? I'm assuming you know how to do a double crochet, right? Front post means all you do is you put your hook in. Let's see if I can do this. Put your hook in from the side of the stitch and come out the other side. So this is the post of the stitch, so you're working around the post and not in the top loops like we typically do. Like, see, this double crochet here is done in the top loops. This one is done around the post. That's what we mean by front post double crochet. Okay? Alright, so I did 2 rows of white, and then I did a row of all the colors in this blanket are left over from another blanket, and I'll show you the other blanket when I turn around and sit on the other side. So this blue is left over, and then I did 2 rows of white, and then this is actually a very fuchsia pinkish color. 2 rows of white, a light green, 2 rows of white, yellow, 2 rows of white, then red, 2 rows of white, green, kind of like a sage green, 2 rows of white, purple, 2 rows of white, then orange, 2 rows of white, and a teal shade of blue. I really like that blue, it's pretty. 2 rows of white, a row of pink. Yeah, it's like a salmon pink. 2 rows of white with a darker green, 2 rows of white with purple. Now my kitty cats are coming to investigate because I have not sewn in all my yarn tails, and they can see them hanging off the back of my little step stool here. So did we do purple? And then 2 rows of white, another green, 2 rows of white, purple, 2 rows of white, with another green. Now you'll notice that actually most of these shades are not duplicated. They are actually different shades of the same color. So 2 rows of white, lighter purple, 2 rows of white with the green, 2 rows of white with this, the camera showing it as red, but it is another shade of pink that is fuchsia and bright. So 2 rows of white in yellow, and see this yellow here is darker than the yellow that's down further. 2 rows of white, red, white, green, 2 rows of white, another purple. Now I will tell you that this darker purple, this is duplicated. The row that is down further is the same purple. I must have had extra. So 2 rows of white, another blue, white, orange, 2 rows of white, green, 2 rows of white, pink, 2 rows of white, another shade of green, 2 rows of white, with another teal, white, purple, white, and I ended on this minty green, and then 2 rows of the white, and then the last row here is single crochet because I was undecided if I wanted to make the blanket bigger. So I just did a row of single crochet just to finish it off, and then if I had changed my mind I could go back and add more to it. So row 1 is single crochet. The last row, which is row 93, is single crochet. So rows 2 to 92 is the waffling pattern, which is double crochets, and then a row of double crochet and front post double crochets. So you see those colors? I think it works really well. I love the white as the background to highlight all these colors from Herrschner's and their 2-ply Afghan yarn. I think it's a good way to highlight the colors that they have, their color selection. I do love this blanket. You're like, okay, I see a little bit of purple there. You know why? Because I used a couple inches of purple as a stitch marker, and I'll show you that on the other side. Because I was tracking how many balls of white that I used, because the white was brand new. And I just did these, you can see I did these color choices just in random order. I did not purposely place them. Although the orange goes really well with the purple, and the purple goes really well with the green. They are random. Okay, but so you see, this is the what I consider the back side of the blanket. Even though the front post is done on this side, it kind of gives it a flat texture. So I'm going to open up the blanket, flip it over to the other side, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the other side. This is the side of the blanket that I like the most, because you get to see how that white comes through when you do the front post double crochet with the white on the rows with the colors, and you see how that pops out like that. Oh, I love it. So let's go through it again. You see that with the blue, the pink, the green, and the yellow, the red, the green. See how it gives it a different look on this side of the blanket? This side of the blanket is my favorite side. So I guess the blanket can be reversible. There is no true front, no true back. It depends on which side that you like sticking out. And me, I like this side. So I consider this the front and the best. Is I love the way that the color pops out like that. Hopefully I'm showing this to you well. Alright, so you see this, I use this piece of purple as a stitch marker because I was marking how much white I was using. So anytime I ended a ball of white and I started a new ball, I added a stitch marker. But not this one over here. This is just because the purple ended and I needed a little bit more purple. Alright, so there you go. Nice, simple, easy pattern. Okay. Alright, so there is no border on it because I was undecided on what I wanted to do with the rest of this blanket. So I have yarn tails all over the place. There are yarn tails on this end and yarn tails on the other end. Okay. I think I know what I want to do with it now. So I will take time to sew in these yarn ends. Right now I have to keep this tucked into a bin because my cats love to play with them. I mean, they don't even just play with yarn, they eat the yarn, which is not healthy. When the doctor says more fiber, he's not talking yarn fiber. Alright, so you see that my ends are nice and neat. Okay, just keep watch your tension on the ends. Make it nice and neat. But yeah, I think I finally figured out what I want to do to finish this blanket. Alright, so I'm going to go sit on that side and we'll talk some more. So what do you guys think of my blanket, huh? I think it came out really cute. Yeah, am I frustrated with myself that I can never finish some blankets? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I have to sneeze. You might see an edit there because I had to sneeze with some allergies. Alright, so my initial chain was 146 plus 1. Row 1 is all single crochet. Row 93 is all single crochet. The rows in between, double crochet, and then the next row is double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet, and you alternate, okay? And it gives you a waffling texture. I really do love the back side of this blanket. I love the way the white just highlights the colors like this. But I know some people don't like that texture, so the flat side of the blanket is just as pretty, right? The yarn, Herrschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn. I took a chance on it once, a couple years ago. Of course, because this was made in 2015. I actually was pleasantly surprised and impressed with the yarn. It comes in little 2-ounce balls, okay? So it's not a lot of yardage. It's I have their catalog here. It's 2 ounces or 56 grams for those who do grams. It's 220 yards per ball. So I don't know what the meters are. It's not listed here in the catalog. So, I mean, they're kind of tiny compared to big 6-ounce balls or 5-ounce balls of yarn. It's only 2 ounces. So, it actually went further than I thought. because with my stitch markers that I was using to count how many balls of white yarn I used, I see one stitch marker there. I have to lay it out, and you guys can't see that part. And there's two. If I'm counting my stitch markers right, I used 3 balls of white, so that means 6 ounces of white. I did weigh my blanket on the scale, so if I use 6 ounces of white, that means I used roughly 6 to 7 ounces of the colors, even though they're like 15 different colors that are going on in here, and only 1 or 2 of them actually repeat. So I told you that the colors are left over from another blanket, right? And it's left over from this blanket. I also made this one in 2015. This is where I started with the Herrschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn. And it's 100% acrylic, and once you use it and you wash it up, it does really soften up. So this is my blanket. I keep this on the back of my reading chair, and I absolutely love it. I did this deep, dark, rich purple border on it, and I did use like 15 colors. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 colors. I used 14 colors, and I alternated in my blanket, okay? And my blanket is so long that I can wear it around my shoulders to keep warm in the winter. So all the leftover colors from this blanket, my reading chair blanket, I put in here. And I wanted to use white as a neutral background to highlight how beautiful those colors are. I mean, they're beautiful in my blanket as it is, but I also Herrschner's has got a good selection of color for their 2-ply Afghan yarn. And I really liked it. I enjoyed working with it. It's a little thin. It is number 2 fine. So you know we all have a yarn chart that gives us the weights of the yarn. That goes from number 1 being a super fine, or sometimes people call it a lace weight. Number 2 is fine or a sport weight. Number 3 is a light medium or a DK weight. Number 4 is a medium weight or worsted weight. Number 5 is bulky or chunky, depending on what part of the world you live in. Number 6 is a super bulky, and then like 7 is like a super bulky. So this is a number 2 fine. It can my hands cramp up with the thinner yarns and the smaller hooks. So there's that. The yarn label says size E crochet hook. I use an F because I like to have my stitches a little bigger, and I wanted some drape to this, and I wanted it to flow a little bit, so I do have some drape. See how nice and loose that is, and it's not dense and compact. And it is warm. I mean, if it's anything like the one that I walk around with in the wintertime, it's warm. I just need to tie in these ends, sew them in, weave them in, crochet them in, whatever I plan on doing, and put a border on. I really think it needs a border. I think it needs a nice deep border like my blanket does. And what I'm thinking is, because I still had leftover yarn colors, I didn't have any more white. I ran out of white, which is probably why I stopped making the blanket. Do you ever have those days where your brain is working so fast and you can't get the words out fast enough? That's me sometimes. Where was I going with it? The border. I would like to take all my leftover colors that I have and make a really deep border on it too. I would just love to see a lot of color on there. I can't find the yarn that I used. I know I have some leftovers. I know I had more leftovers when I had put this blanket off to the side in 2015. So if you guys know, in 2020, late in 2020, I damaged my rotator cuff, and by January 2021, I couldn't crochet anymore. The pain was so bad, and after almost 40 years of crocheting, I couldn't crochet anymore, and I gotten a bit sad about it. And so what I did was I boxed up everything that I owned in my house, from yarn to projects to hooks and all my pattern books. I boxed everything up, boxes, bins, and bags. And I put most of it in my shed and some of it in the corner in my living room behind you. I couldn't crochet anymore. So in January 2022 of this year, I picked up my hook for the first time, and it was still painful, but my rotator cuff was just at the end of healing. And with a little bit of time and a little bit of practice over these last 3 months, I've been able to crochet more, but not to the degree that I was for almost 40 years. I cannot crochet 8, 10, 12 hours a day now. I can do an hour or two, and that's it. And I'm okay with that. My life is pretty busy these days with 3 teenagers and a husband and 2 cats in a house. So I'm okay with that. But I still enjoy crocheting. So that's my story. I couldn't crochet. So in the process of bagging everything up and putting everything in bags, bins, and boxes, I didn't have any organization when I did it. I just threw it all in containers and moved it out of the house. So as I'm coming across the projects, I can't find the notes to them because the notes are in some other place. I can't find the yarn I used because the yarn is in some other bin, box, or bag. So I know I have leftovers, but I don't know where they're at. And as soon as I find the leftovers, I will do the border on this. And when I do the border on it, I will come back and show you. I might actually do a video of me crocheting. It'd be neat. I see videos like that on YouTube. What do you guys think? Should we do a video of crocheting? I'm not talking tutorials to teach you how to crochet, because there's plenty of other crocheters on the internet who do that. I'm thinking it's just about sit and grab your hook and crochet along with me. That's what I'm thinking. So when I find my yarn, I will do the border on this. So in the meantime, I wrote up a bunch of notes. I filmed this video, and I'm going to put it, I have a cabinet over there that I'm putting my blankets in until I come across the yarn I need to finish them, if they need to be finished, okay? I have a whole plan on how I'm doing this. So the Herrschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn, I can't show you what I use because I can't find it anywhere. It's not on the top of any of my bins, but I do have a Herrschner's catalog. I get them every couple months because I do buy yarn from them. So here's their 2-ply. It is easy care, 100% acrylic, machine washable, 2 ounces, 56 grams, 220 yards. And how many colors do they have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've got 40 colors of solids, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors of variegated yarns. I know that the camera won't focus on this very well, but I mean, those are some good color choices right there. Color selections. Like, I know that I have guava, which is the pinkish color. I know I have Victorian red, tangerine, buttercup for the yellow, all those shades of green. The blues, I absolutely love their shades of blue. They've got light teal, teal, dark teal, deep teal, and I'm pretty sure I have all 4 versions of teal in this blanket. And they're purples: lilac breeze, deep violet, grape frost, boysenberry, and plum. I know I've got a lot of the purples in the blanket too. So I was pleasantly surprised and impressed by the Herrschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn. Okay. It has held up really well in my blanket. I made this in 2015. You see, it's just starting to pill now, but I mean, that's the nature of yarn. Yarn pills when it gets washed in the washer, and it gets dried in the dryer. You just get a little sweater shaver and you shave off those pills and you're good to go, right? Right. Alright, so 2015, I'm almost done from all my blankets I made in 2015. I have got one more, because I made this in August 2015. I've got one more. It was a crochet along I participated in, and it had started in, I want to say, September or October, and it went through December. So that's how I finished up 2015, was working on a crochet along. And that blanket is on one of the kids' beds. So I will have to get it and wash it before I do a video. And I don't think I have any leftovers. I actually have to go through the pictures I uploaded to the Facebook group that I'm in for the crochet along to try to remember what kind of yarn I use them, because I use different companies. I know there's Red Heart Super Saver in there. There is Loops and Threads Impeccable from Michaels. Maybe some Bernat Super Value. I have to go through the Facebook group and see if I can remember what kind of yarn I use, because I cannot find notes for it anywhere. And now that'll finish up 2015. So there's my blanket. I'm just calling it white with stripes. I'm going to put a border on it as soon as I come across all the leftovers, and I want the border to be all the colors. I want it to be colorful, and I want it to be a thick border, and then this blanket will be done. Baby size, lap size, throw size. I think it's a little too small to call it a throw, but I think it's a good lap size blanket. It's definitely a good baby blanket for the stroller or laying on the floor taking a nap. So that's my blanket. I did enjoy this one. It's one of the ones where you don't have to do any counting for it. You just know one row of double crochet, and then your second row is alternating, one double crochet, one front post, one regular, one front post. So you don't have to do any counting. I would still suggest doing counting anyway. I see a lot of people on the internet being like, well, I don't count my rows, I don't count my stitches. You really should. For something like this where you don't have to, I actually still, every 5th or 6th or 7th row, I will count my stitches. If I'm sitting in the living room watching TV, if my husband's around, if the kids are around, I'll be like, you know what, guys? I need to count this row, and I do it, and I make sure my count is good. I have a little piece of paper next to me, knowing I'm supposed to have 146 stitches, and I count it every 5th row or so to make sure I still have 146 stitches, to make sure I didn't add one, make sure I didn't take one away. And then every 10th or 15th row, I actually take the blanket off of my lap, because I mean, our view is very narrow of the blanket on our lap, right? I'll take the blanket off my lap, I'll lay it on the couch, I'll lay it on the floor to make sure that my sides are still going straight, to make sure that my tension is still consistent, to make sure I'm not tightening it up and bringing it in, or getting really big loosey-goosey with it and having it going out. So you should still always double check your own work. Find numbers that work for you. So I count every 5th row. I lay it out on every 10th row to make sure I'm on track. Find out what works for you, but still double check your own work just to make sure you're on track and doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? So it doesn't get all wonky on you and it doesn't get all kinds of crazy on you. Because there's nothing worse than sometimes finding out that you are 20 rows in and you have to frog it back and rip it out and start all over, because that's frustrating. Alright, so there we go. I have no idea what blanket that is. I haven't been keeping track of my blankets, so I don't know what number this is. Is there anything else that I needed to tell you? Like, I write down notes before I sit and film. I think that's it. I think I'm all good. All good. So my next video, I know it's been like 10 days since my last video. In the last 10 days, you guys are phenomenal as YouTubers, okay? I had 38 subscribers, but in the last 10 days, you guys have jumped me up over 100. Last time I checked, it was like 112, 116. So I have like 80 new subscribers in the last 10 days. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being here. And following along with my journey of crocheting 40 years, and I had to take a break because of damage in my arm, and this is me going through my stuff. It's not an easy process. If you saw my last video, I was like, I am so done with this, and I don't even want to look at it anymore. So thank you for being here. I hope you guys are enjoying the content I'm putting out. I'm enjoying making the videos and going through the crocheting. Crocheting is one of the biggest loves of my life. And you'll see my bookshelf behind me. That's my other love. Now, in a perfect world, I would love to have a bookshelf that is half books and half yarn. Right? Right, because my two loves right there. Mix them up all together. So, maybe someday. Because I have as many books as I do crochet projects and yarn stash. Because I still have a yarn stash in my mom's house that I haven't even touched yet. So I've done random yarn bins. I'm getting ready. My next video should be in a couple days of another yarn bin. I'm going to go through and sort through it and put like with like as I'm doing. And then maybe I'll do another video on books, because I still have more books to go through. So I want to thank you guys for being here, for everything. I appreciate it. If you guys are crafters yourselves, leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of craft you like to do. Do you crochet? Do you knit? Do you quilt? I love quilts. Oh, what the quilters put out. beautiful. I actually take some inspiration from quilts that I see on Pinterest and try to translate it into crocheted blankets. I get a lot of inspiration from quilters. So you guys, thank you so very much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.